Hey everyone. It is Tuesday, September 1st, 2020. I was sent home from work early today. It kind of happens with my job sometimes. If there's not enough guests show up at the park, then there's no need for some of us as employees to be there. So I got sent home early today, and when I came home, I read something that actually really kind of broke my heart. And so we'll get into that in this episode. But the link to the topic is in the description box. So I'll wait and see if a couple people come in. And there's already two people here. Hello, welcome. If you're here, thanks for coming in. Feel free to jump and say hi in the chat. I'm definitely want to have a conversation today. If anybody wants to have one, thank you for being here. I know this is impromptu. Hey, Padilla, how's it going? Welcome. So if you go in the description box, thank you for the thumbs up, by the way, whoever did that already, thank you. What did you think is going to happen in Venom and Carnage 2? I think Venom's going to fight Carnage. And that's pretty much all I think about Venom 2 right now. But I'm going to guess that's what's going to happen. Hey, nice Venom stuff. Thank you very much. Yeah. It's probably in reverse because I have the camera on reverse. So I don't know if you can read Venom vlog there, but it says Venom vlog there. But anyway, so I think about Venom, like the character, a lot, obviously because I do the show and stuff, and I think about hey, Florent, how's it going? Florent, by the way, I'm going to live stream a video game later on my gaming channel because I know sometimes you pop in and say hi, so I'll make sure to stream it, and I'll see you over there. How much have you spent on Venom Carnage figures? I don't want to think about that because if I do, because I have to pay rent, I'm like a couple days. Well, I'll be late when I have till the 5th to pay rent. I get paid on the 4th, which is Friday. So I'll be able to pay rent on time. But because money's so tight right now, I don't want to think about it. But I probably, over the years, I've probably spent, I don't know, maybe not as much as I think. Probably around $1,000 on everything that you see in this background here. Well, you can't even see everything. Like there's some over here, there's some back there, there's some up there. Fantastic Four over there, there's him there. There's artwork there, artwork over there, X-Men over there. Yeah. So I'd say I probably spent around $1,000. Not all at once, obviously. But yeah, I will watch that. Okay, cool. I'll see you later then. I'm a big fan of Venom. I always love him. Tom Hardy killed it. As Eddie Brock in Venom, he did better than Topher Grace, and I love the 2018 movie. I can't wait for Venom. Yeah, me too. Same here, guys. Hey, Prime Motion, how's it going? Cool name. Hey, Ferris, how's it going? Yes. Hello, everyone. Make friends with each other, too. And thank you for the thumbs up, everybody. So I know I have so like I said, I think about Venom a lot, and not just from like, what episodes do I do? Gotta do kind of thing. But I do sit around and just think about him because I connect with that character a lot. There's, hey, what up? How's it going, Rayhan? I've been through at least one thing that Eddie Brock has been through, which is a suicide attempt, and I think about that a lot. I think about how bad I was doing mentally, and it was mainly because of the aneurysm stuff. Like after I had my rupture in 2010, and I had to relearn to walk and talk, and spent a long time, getting back on my feet, literally. And passing as a normal person, which I still have my days where I struggle, with that too. But I think about how every year I just kept thinking it was going to be my last year. Like I was like, I'm not doing too well. I'm already having trouble. I didn't get the surgery, so I'm in pain a lot, and with my head hurting every day. And I just thought, this is, I'm going to spend my last few years in pain. And one day I was just in so much pain that I just was like, I want to check out. I just want to advance this process and try to take my own life. And I think about that now, and I think, wow, how was I that? I must have been in a lot more pain than I can remember, because it's hard for me to picture that now. And that was only about 4 years ago. So I read something today that made me think about that again. I got off work, they sent me home early, and one of the things I saw, which you can, in the article in the description box, you can click on it from CNN, it said 1 in 4 young people, they did a survey, they interviewed like 6,000 young people between the ages of 18 and 24. And they said 1 in 4, so 25% of young people that they interviewed for this survey had suicidal thoughts, like legitimately considered suicide, not just thought about it, but like legitimately considered it, just in the last 30 days. And when I read that, like, God, that hurts so much, because I don't, I know the world is hurting right now, obviously, but I don't. There's a part of me that thinks about it, and there's times where I focus on it, and there's times where I don't. But that was literally something I never considered, was how young people are dealing with everything that's happening in the world and how they have no leadership. I'm sure their parents are doing their best. I mean, if you don't give your parents a hard time, I'm sure they're trying their best. Take it from me, who used to be your age once. Don't give your parents a hard time. If they get on your nerves, if they're annoying, if they tell you to do something, too much, they're worried about your safety. Please don't give them a hard time. Trust me, just be a little respectful. But I saw that many people were hurting, and it made me remember why every video of Venom Vlog, if you go back and look at Venom Vlog stuff, every video I have in the description box, you can scroll down, you'll see 4 links to different centers and places you can call if you're thinking about suicide. And the reason I put that there was, 1, because of myself going through something like that, and 2, because of Venom as well. But if you're out there and you're young and you're going through a hard time and you don't feel comfortable sharing your story with us on the chat or messaging me, like, I understand sometimes it's hard to talk about this stuff. So, call one of those numbers, but, don't feel like you are alone. When I heard 25% of young people wanted to do that, to commit to that act, it was hard to learn. So that's why I wanted to just do this episode and talk to you guys and just see if anyone out there, just tell me how you're doing, like good or bad, just like, tell me how you're doing if you want, share whatever you want to share. I know it's not easy, and I know sometimes you just don't have people to talk to, especially now, we're all isolated to an extent, and every time we go outside, we run the risk of getting sick or something bad happening to us. And I get it. So if you do have anything you want to share, please do. And then let me go back and read some of the comments here. What up, Rayhan? Hi, we are awesome. Venom Padilla. Yes, Venom Padilla is awesome. Me too. I can totally relate. See, and it's tough. It's tough to hear that people know what that feels like. It's tough. So, but I'm glad you're here with us, Prime Motion. I think Venom 2 being delayed is a good thing, because they might have time to start behind the scenes again maybe soon. So Venom 2 could be longer, like a 2 hour. They're not going to reshoot any. I mean, they might do reshoots, but I doubt it. I doubt they're going to change anything. I wouldn't worry too much about that. They got more time for visual effects. That's what I care about. Never knew that. Well, I was the same. Well, I have a lot of respect for you, Siike. You've done. Hey, Josh G, what's up, man? You've done an incredible job with the channel, and the way you've powered through your struggles is very admirable. Oh, that's very nice of you to say, Josh. Thank you. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. I mean, yeah, then you have situations like that. You have people shooting each other in the streets during protests. It made me think of, like, why would all these young people consider that? Why would they consider that an option to take their own life? I don't know if I have the answer. I don't. I know a lot of people are just hurting in general right now, and so I guess that's part of it. But I also was thinking how one of the reasons I left social media. Look how we treat each other on social media. Look how we treat each other on YouTube, on Reddit, anywhere where we connect with each other. Discord, doesn't matter. Online, Twitch, it doesn't matter. Look how people treat each other. There is almost no respect for each other anymore. Almost. Like, yeah, sure, you might find a YouTuber that you like, and you're like, hey, I like this person, and you give them compliments, stuff like that. But there's like real respect for your fellow man. Like, there isn't. I see people my age, your age, younger, older, doesn't matter. I see people who go, oh, you're voting for this person, or you're doing this, or you're doing that, then you're an evil person. And I see both sides, and all sides, whether they're right, left, center. everyone's demonizing each other. Everyone's trying to make the other person less human so that they feel better about themselves and they feel better about cutting that person down. And I think maybe a lot of these young people see us older people doing that online, cutting each other down and treating each other with disrespect and yelling at each other and screaming at each other. And they see that and they think it's normal behavior. And they see us demonizing each other and making each other feel worthless and less than human. And I think that then they start thinking that they're less than human. That could be a part of it too. I don't know. So like I said, I don't have any answers here. But I notice that about us. That's one of the reasons why I want to get off social media, is like I either get, compliments from people, which is nice. I love compliments. I love giving them back too. Or I just get demonized. And I don't get it. I didn't get it too much because I never posted anything really too controversial on social media. I never really use social media for that kind of stuff. But I see other people do it to each other, and I see people do it over opinions of movies. People will, just go too far. It's one thing if you don't like a movie, you just say, "Hey, I didn't like this movie. It wasn't for me," or whatever, and here's why. But I see people go to such levels when they hear that, "Oh, you didn't like that movie? Well, you're a hater. You're this. You're that. You're a scum." All this, and it's like, calm down. It's just a movie. It's just a movie. So when you see people go that far over a movie or a comic, then when it gets to politics, it gets 10 times worse, to where they're literally shooting each other. And that should not be the message we send to the next generation of people. That we should send a message of communication and respect. I think that's why the X-Men are such a shitty comic book right now. Sorry for swearing, because I don't think anyone understands the concept of sacrifice and being the bigger person. The X-Men are, persecuted against. They're racists against mutants. They're different. They're a new breed of human. They're the next evolutionary step. So people are scared of them, and they get treated as such. They get stones thrown at them and tomatoes and all that kind of stuff thrown at them, and they're hated. But they still save the people that hate them, because it's not about that. It's more important that human lives live, and it's more important to educate the people who hate you that you're not evil. And no one can wrap their head around that concept. And I think because of that is why the X-Men books have sucked for so many years. And why they've been rewritten completely now is because Jonathan Hickman's like, well, we can't have, Xavier following a dream and having these, people following him and them trying to spread peace. That doesn't work anymore. And it's like, well, you're a cynical piece of shit if you think that. It should work. That's what superheroes are. They're the best part of us. They're fictional. So they should help set an example. So you have all these older writers who are writing these cynical stories, and younger readers that's why young people that's why there's not a lot of new comic readers. That's why there's mostly just us old farts that keep reading comics every month, because it's just a routine for us. We're addicted. But that's why you don't get a lot of new readers coming in and staying on for very long, because it's just a bunch of old a-holes writing cynical crap that nobody cares about. I can totally relate with Venom with my anger issues. Anger is a good one. Anger is tough to get over. After having a head injury, my brain aneurysm, I'm inclined to get angry a lot, like the Hulk or something, and a switch can go off that quickly, and so I have to be in control all the time. So I've looked into meditation. I've done meditation for years now. Which is funny, when I saw that in Venom, where Eddie Brock was meditating in a small studio apartment, and he was using a toaster oven to make tater tots. I'm not kidding. That's exactly how I lived when I lived in LA before I moved in with my friend Kevin. For 6 years, me and Echo lived in this small room with, brick, some brick, I think, on the outside and stuff. But it was kind of like Eddie Brock's apartment, one room, and then the bathroom was off to the side, and one closet, and it was just one big room, like Eddie Brock's apartment. And then I had a toaster oven, and I made tater tots. Same brand of tater tots too. So when I saw that in the movie, I was blown away. I was like, holy crap, someone's like stalking me. But yeah, so I got into meditation. I got into, drinking teas, like, I make different kind of teas. That's also good for my head too, though. Hey, Tavia, how's it going? I understand, man. Believe me. I mean, like I said, it breaks my heart hearing that people understand that kind of pain, but it makes me realize there are a lot of people out there in pain. So that's why when someone asked me recently on one of my videos, they're like, why do you have all these links to suicide prevention places? And I said, because it's important that people know that even when they're watching your goofy little YouTube video, if they scroll down and they can see, if they're not comfortable telling me about their life story or sharing with me, then they have someone they can call. So it's important to have that stuff out there. Sorry, I don't mean to be sad and depressing, but here, yeah, about the young people, like, I mean, it blew me away. 18 to 24, 25% of them seriously considered checking out of life early. It's hard. It's hard to think about. Like, I treat everyone same, and that means I don't care if it's my mom or just a friend. I just get angry and say so many bad things. It's tough, you know. It's good that you notice that you have that proclivity to be angry. The hardest thing I think for people to be nowadays is self-aware. I don't care how young you are or who you are listening to me talk right now, and if you think I'm just a weirdo, that's fine. Like, it's totally fine. We can go back to talking about Venom and stuff like that too. But self-awareness is key. You should always be try to be self-aware as possible, so that way when someone gives you feedback like, hey man, you're being kind of a D-bag, you don't get mad at them for saying that. You go, oh, maybe I am being a D-bag. You have to work on your self-awareness. You have to understand the actions you're doing. I think, you know, I see so many people nowadays that have done bad things in the past. We all have. We all make mistakes in our lives. But one thing I see them say a lot when they apologize is, oh, you know, I didn't know any better. I should have known better. So we should learn from those people who have made those mistakes, who didn't know better, by knowing better. You know, we should do better. We should look at ourselves and go, this is what I did and it was bad. Never do it again, and deal with it, you know. And I think if we work on ourselves like that, you know, life, that's all what life is. It's about self-growing, you know. It's about growing into being something better. None of us start off perfect. None of us end perfect. We can only just get better every day, you know. I think that's, and as long as we keep trying to do that, I think we're going to be okay. When I go on social media, I remind myself to talk about what I love and not what I hate. I try to spread as much positivity as I can, and truly appreciate that you do the same thing with the chats like these. Hey, thank you, Josh G. I know sometimes I'm a bummer. When I was on social media, I feel like sometimes I complained a little too much about my health or things like that. But like I said, sometimes I treated social media like a journal. So that way, when I go see my doctor, I can go back and say, hey, on this day, I tweeted that my head hurt. And on this day, I tweeted that I ate this food and then my head got worse. So maybe there's something with that. And that's how we found out that cheese actually made my headaches worse. So dairy in general made my headaches worse. So I kept it as a journal, but when I looked at it, I was like, I feel like I'm being kind of a little whiny here about stuff. And I like to try to keep things positive because it's just good to. I mean, yeah, we can focus on the bad, and sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to just, you're like, all right, I'm at the bottom. You know, I'm at rock bottom, and you just have to be at rock bottom. You know, the more you flail and try to climb out of it, you seem to sink deeper. So sometimes you just got to sit. You just got to be in the moment and just be like, I'm here. I'm at the bottom. Don't flail. Don't scream. Don't yell. Don't do anything. Don't bring attention to yourself. Just sit here, relax, breathe. And then when you're ready, start climbing back up. So yeah, sometimes you got to be at the bottom. But like I said, that's when you should use that time to recenter yourself and climb back up. Well, I'm not the same. I'm a good guy. My brother bullies me. Yeah, you told me about that. It's tough. I'm an older brother, and I actually did. Not too like a year or two ago. I don't remember everything, of course, of my childhood, but I remembered a couple things about a couple times I bullied my little brother, and I apologized to him. I said, "Hey, I don't know if I was a good older brother to you, and if I wasn't, I'm sorry. Like, you deserved a good older brother, and if I wasn't one, I'm sorry." And he was like, "No, dude, you were fine." He's like, he goes, "Yeah, we had our moments, but," he goes, you know, he's like, "You did good." So, you know, it was nice to hear. So, you know, just talk to your brother. You know, it's hard sometimes. Being an older brother is hard because you don't know what to do. I didn't know what, we didn't have a dad around. So I didn't know really how to treat my brother. So sometimes I was tough on him because adults were tough on me. They wanted me to be more responsible at such a young age. And, you know, I had to watch my little brother a lot. My mom worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs. So after I got out of school, I would go to a bus stop. I would get out of school like an hour before my brother, come home, drop off my stuff, get some food like ready to go, and then go pick up my brother at the bus stop when he got out of school, bring him home, feed him, make sure he did his homework, and then we would watch cartoons after we did our homework, or I'd put on a movie so he could relax or whatever, and or let him play with his toys. So like I kind of was there for him like that, and that's a lot of responsibility for someone as young as I was. So sometimes it can just be tough. So your brothers may just feel responsible, and it may just be weighing down on them, and that's why they take it out in weird ways on you. But just talk to them. I'm 20. My name is am I saying it right? Manav. Manav, is that how you pronounce it? That's awesome. That's a cool name. That's the hardest part, to say sorry or let go and not exploding. Saying sorry is hard. You're right. Saying sorry is hard. I don't know what it is about human nature that makes it so hard for us to apologize to each other. I don't know. It's interesting. I've noticed it. I noticed it in myself. Sometimes it's hard for me to say sorry to people, but I try really hard to. If I can tell someone's upset with me, I just go over. I'm very blunt. Like, you can ask people I used to work with at Lego. I'd go, hey, are you pissed off at me? I just come out and ask them, which is probably not great for a supervisor to do, but I just want to know. I'm like, hey, are you pissed? Are you mad at me for some reason? And then if they are quiet, or I'm just go, look, are you going to talk to me or what? Because like I'm sorry, like whatever I did, but I need to know what I did wrong so I know what to apologize for, because I'm thinking I did it without realizing I did it. And if that's something I got to work on, I need to hear you tell me what it was, because I am not self-aware enough to know what I did. So can you please help me? So again, if you just treat people with respect, you find that you're better at talking to people than you might have originally given yourself credit for. If you just go, hey, like I had this guy I worked with named Brian at Lego, and there was a couple times I upset him, and it bummed me out. It made me mad that he got mad at me, because I really liked Brian and I respected him. We started on the same day together, and I saw a lot of great qualities in Brian, and he was younger than me, so I saw a little bit of myself in Brian too, and I liked him. I thought he was a cool guy, and so if I upset him, I'd get mad. I'm like, tell me what's wrong, and sometimes he wouldn't, so I'd have to bring him in the back and say, all right, tell her what I did wrong, like another manager, and I'll listen. And that way, because I need to know what it is in order to get better. And sometimes people just don't want to communicate. It's easier to just be mad at people and not communicating. We got to find a way to break that. We got to find a way to talk to each other. I have to say, Venom inspired me on a slightly odd way. The character inspired me to work out and want muscles. LOL shows that writing and art and film can help us in different ways. Hey, Equus, yeah, that's true. Actually, when I started the Venom vlog, I was like 230 pounds or 20 pounds. And I was like, I want to get down to 200 pounds. And then I got down to 201, and I was like, let's get down to 190. And that was going to be like my limit, was try to get to like 190 or 185 or something like that. And I think we got down to 194. But then I got to say, since COVID, I definitely added some weight. Sitting in the house for like 5-6 months, doing not much, definitely made me bounce back. So I'm back at like 218, I think. Which is not good for my height. Like I'm about 20 pounds overweight. So I would love to, work on that too at some point. But I also have a damaged rotator cuff now. I don't know if you guys heard me talk about that in yesterday's episode, but I damaged my rotator cuff. This shoulder dislocated like a year and a half ago, and it got popped back in. But I've been having some problems since then. I guess recently I injured it and didn't realize it. So I might have to have surgery on this shoulder at some point. So you'll maybe see in some videos, I might very minimal movement. I'll lift my elbow. I'll bend my elbow, and you can see my hand come up this far, but you probably won't see me like wildly throw this arm around. Sometimes I do at work because I have to celebrate when we do certain events at work and stuff. So that's why sometimes I'll come home from work and I'll just put like a giant ice pack and take some pain pills or something. Yeah, it's funny. I come home and I'm like popping pain pills and I'm like drinking water and stuff now too, and I'm laughing because I'm like, God, it reminds me of that scene in Daredevil where he comes home and he's popping pain pills and he's got like scars on his back, and I'm like that, except without the coolness of fighting crime. I'm like a lame old guy just falling apart, which is kind of funny. But that's great that he inspires you to work out. That's awesome. The first episode of Venom vlog I made was me reacting to Tom Hardy working out to play Venom. That was my first episode of Venom vlog. So yeah. Your videos 2-3 years back leading up to Venom movie really helped me through a hard period, and I'm very grateful for that. I help and support you any way I can. Josh, that means so much to me. And like, it's, as someone told me, they're like, you're going to have to get used to that. And I get it, because there are YouTubers that have done the same for me. So I get that. I get what you're saying. And I can tell you 100% that it means a lot to me that you say that. I understand that we go through tough times, and, I don't go out a lot. I'm very introverted. I'm agoraphobic on some levels. I swallow it the best I can and try to prepare for it when I go out to work. Going outdoors used to be way more terrifying to me than it is now. I'm easing into it more, which is good. I have over the years. That's why working at Lego was so good for me. But it's still a hard thing to face, sometimes. Some days I have panic attacks thinking about it and stuff. And so you have these tough times, and because I don't go out and talk and deal with a lot of people, I turn to YouTube, and I fell in love with a bunch of people on YouTube, and like Red Letter Media. Like I honestly don't know where I would be without Red Letter Media, because I love watching those guys. They're just entertaining, and I've watched them during some really dark times that they were there to make me laugh when very few things could make me laugh. And I like how constructive they are on their criticisms of movies and stuff, and how well they can put their opinions into words. And they kind of helped motivate me into what I do here. So that's why I don't really do a lot of reviews on this channel. I mostly do discussions, because that's how I feel Red Letter Media does. They just have these like great 30-minute to hour-long discussions on movies. And so, yeah, so it's, and they helped me through a lot. I've never told them that, I don't think, in a comment or anything, because I imagine they get millions of comments, so they probably would never know. But hearing it from you, that means a lot, man. I'm glad my videos can do something for someone, because I'm a silly Venom fan in front of some toys talking about Venom. But if that helps somehow to some of you, that's amazing. I can't be more grateful than that. Then it makes me feel good that I've done something in this life that wasn't a waste, like that I did something with my second chance. Because I would say in my 20s and into my early 30s, no one said anything like that to me. So to hear that now when I'm approaching 40 is kind of nice. It makes you feel like you did a little, even as silly as making videos, was worth it to somebody. And that's a really awesome thing to hear. Hi, long time no see. Another World fan film. It was amazing. Oh, awesome. Was it? Georgie, how's it going? Good to see you. Corona existed in the 1090. It was called the Black Dye. You mean the Black Plague? New Mutants was okay though. I'll admit the love story subplot went nowhere. Because that's the thing, is like I was thinking about that when I watched after I posted my review. I was like, it felt like Josh Boone said this is part one of a trilogy, and I'm like, well, it feels like the first act of a movie. Because I feel like the love story, it went somewhere in the sense that, like, together, that's what brought them, that's what saved them at the end, was that their feelings for each other. She, Rain got through to Danny and got her to awaken from her nightmare world and being trapped there. So I would say it did matter. It did have a purpose, but I feel like it probably would, if they made a second and third movie, it would have continued to grow from there. And that to me is where I don't like where directors and writers say, oh, I have an idea for a trilogy. I'm like, I always say, make one movie, and when it works, then make your franchise. Like Blade. Blade was a prime example of that. They knocked it out of the park with Blade. And then they were like, oh shit, we got to make a second one, but we killed Whistler, and all the vampire gods are dead. And they're just like, yeah, figure it out. And it's like, okay, that's the problems you should be running into when you have to write a sequel. I have a feeling Norman Osborn will return in the next episode of so-called Maximum Venom. Yeah, so-called Maximum Venom. I'm a little bummed about that series. I got a gift from my brother, by the way, speaking of Venom stuff. Check this out. Gwenom. He saw this. My brother knows I'm a hardcore Gwen Stacy fan. So when he saw this, he was like, dude, do you have this? I'm like, I don't think so. And I looked on my shelf and I didn't. So he got it for me and sent it. He said it was on sale at like Walgreens for like $4 or something. I was like, dang, that's awesome. It's a good deal. You're one of the kindest YouTubers I've ever met. Oh, I don't know about that, but that's very nice of you to say. I watch a lot of fun YouTubers. I mean, I don't know. I tend to gravitate towards positive people on YouTube. I know there are some crappy people out there, and I've seen some of their videos, and all I do is after I watch one of their videos, I just go, well, I just never want to be like that. I just never want to be that kind of person. where I'm just miserable, and I'm just like every time, like anytime Brie Larson or Brie was it Brie Larson who is that who plays Captain Marvel? Brie Larson. Every time she like breathes, there's like 20 YouTubers out there that just make comments like they're like they have to make a whole video on her, and I'm just like, guys, calm down. Like, but they do it because they know they're just getting rage clicks from other people. And oh, what is he gonna say today about Brie Larson? It's like, who cares what you think about Brie Larson? Like, who cares what anybody thinks about Brie Larson? Who cares about what Brie Larson cares about or thinks about? Like, to me, I'm just like, whatever. Like, just let people be people. Like, respect their space, and if they want to go. Like, I think she started a YouTube channel, and I'm like, yeah, cool. Great, welcome to YouTube. Like, awesome. Like, there's a lot of fun that can be had here. And if you make fun videos, you'll find fun people will come and watch them. So but then you see other people that are like, oh, she made another video the other day. She's the worst person ever. And it's like, whatever, guys. Just who cares? Who cares? Fun fact: the villain of Tenet is the director of the worst movie of 2020 called Artemis Fowl. Wait, what? I don't know if I've seen Artemis Fowl. Tenet. I haven't seen Tenet. I actually have no interest to see Tenet. Someone was telling, oh yeah, my friend Nathan, he was like, hey, do you want to go see New Mutants? I was like, yes, because I saw it like over 2 years ago, and I want to see if anything's different or what they changed or what the final effects look like and stuff, what the final sound mix sounds like. Like, I was just curious. Pretty much the movie was identical to the version I saw before. But then he was like, hey, do you want to go see Tenet? And I said, no. He was like, wait, you were happy to see New Mutants? I go, yeah, I'm a comic book fan. I'm interested. And he's like, what about Tenet? I go, I'm not interested. I haven't seen the last like 3 Christopher Nolan movies. Dunkirk, this one, I'm not. I mean, I might see it eventually. And then I can't remember the one he did before Dunkirk, but I don't think I saw that either. So I'm like, I don't know. I like Memento, and I like following his early movies, and I like parts of his Batman trilogy. But I don't know. He's not like the greatest filmmaker in the world to me. So I don't rush to see his stuff usually anymore. But I did, when I saw Memento, I love that movie. That was awesome. But that movie he did after Memento, Insomnia, that was terrible. I'm also a revenge type of guy, like Venom, working at midnight thinking about people who hurt me. Well, that's not too healthy either. I mean, the thing about Venom is that he kept blaming other people for hurting him. But really, Eddie Brock was to blame for a lot of his own failings. That's what I mean about being self-aware. Eddie Brock is the reason Eddie Brock has a bad life. Not Peter Parker, not J. Jonah Jameson, not New York City, not even the Sin Eater. Eddie Brock is the reason he has a bad life. He's self-destructive. He blames other people for his problems. He has a broken compass when it comes to what innocent means. But that's what I like about him as a character, because that's real. Like, a lot of people can probably relate to that if they look inside and see that they have those same qualities. So, yes, thinking about people who hurt you is a destructive thing. So you got to be careful with that. But you also got to realize that sometimes it's not so much other people hurting you, but it's the way you hurt yourself and project it. Venom is my favorite Marvel villain. He's so good, isn't he? He's villain or anti-hero or hero. It doesn't matter. Eddie Brock works. I like the character. When and why did you start making YouTube videos? Hey, what's up, Amsterdam Comic Geek? What's that park in Amsterdam called? Is it Fowler Park? Or I always blank on it. It's beautiful. You can just see the whole city from it. I don't even know what it would be like nowadays, but why did I start making YouTube videos? I think I was lonely, and I didn't have a lot of friends, and the few friends I had were outgoing. They wanted to go out and do things in LA, and LA is very expensive when I lived there, so I just didn't have the money to go out and do things. So I wanted to talk about things I loved, and I also was, after my aneurysm, I had to go through speech therapy and physical therapy to learn and walk and talk again, and I found myself regressing in my verbiage, my language. Like, seemed to be getting worse at talking the less I did it. So as an exercise, I said, maybe I can start a podcast. So a friend of mine had me on his podcast, and that worked out pretty well, and it got me talking a lot more and getting better at that kind of stuff. And So we did a show called Nerd Nation Radio together, my friend Gene, and he was his show, and he had me on as a guest host, and then I became a permanent co-host for like 2 years. And then after that, I started watching a guy on YouTube. Was watching Red Letter Media, obviously, but I was watching a guy on YouTube called The Ragin' Nation. His name is Alex. He's lives in Canada, and he did a show about Transformers, the Michael Bay movies. So he would talk about all the news, like I do with Venom Vlog. Like he covers every bit of news from the Michael Bay movies, and so I started watching him around the time the third Transformer movie came out, and then leading up to the fourth Age of Extinction movie. And I just really loved his content. He was so positive. He only talked about things that were official news from official sources, not rumors or leaks. So if you watch my show, actually, Venom Vlog, I follow a lot of what Alex does. So I'm very much inspired by that guy's content. He sits in his bedroom. He's got all Transformer toys behind him. Like I have all these Venom toys, and he just talks about Michael Bay and you know, all the actors in the Transformer movies, who's being cast and what kind of cars they're using and stuff. And he was so infectious that I was like, I want to be like this guy. And I said, but I in the beginning, I was like, I want to be exactly like this guy. So I started a Transformer show, and that did pretty well. It did okay. But then I started doing Seek and Destroy, and every episode was different. So it was like a variety show where every episode I did something different. I would like review a movie on one episode, then I would review a toy on the next episode, then I would eat like an MRE in the third episode, and it was just kind of all over the place. And I felt like I got a couple subscribers from that, but then it kind of plateaued off for like a year, and I didn't really get a lot of subscribers. And then I went through the suicide attempt, and then trying to bounce back from that, I started thinking of what shows I would do, and then I was going to do an X-Men show, but I wasn't really allowed to because I had seen all the X-Men movies before they came out, and I was afraid if I did a show on them, I would accidentally, you know, reveal something, and so I didn't want to do that. So then I was like, well, if I can't do X-Men, I should do Venom, and right around that time is when Tom Hardy made that video of him training, and I said, all right, I'll do this. We'll call it episode 1. We'll see what happens, and then here we are 560 episodes later, and we just keep going. The same director who made the first Thor movie. Kenneth Branagh? Oh yeah, Kenneth Branagh. Oh, I love him. He plays Hercule Poirot in Murder on the Orient Express, which was a pretty good movie. And now they're doing a sequel to it. Another Agatha Christie is my favorite writer of all time. So the fact that they're doing Hercule Poirot movies with Kenneth Branagh is exciting to me. So I guess the first one was a success, and now they're like, we got to make more. And it's like, yes, that's what I mean. Don't make a franchise. Make the first movie first, make it do well, and then make more movies. So I'm glad they're doing that. My dad told me that he will buy me Nintendo Switch on my birthday on January 11th. Hey, nice. 11's my lucky number. That's cool. Well, enjoy your new Nintendo Switch. That's going to be fun. I think my nephew's going to get one for Christmas, actually. Directed that AF movie. Oh, Artemis Fowl. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that is, actually. Venom is my favorite villain and antihero too, Padilla says. I figured. He's in your name. Vondo Park. That's it. Vondo Park. Yeah. Because I was like, I keep thinking it starts with an F, but I think it was the accent of the person I was talking to. But yes, Vondo Park. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. Beautiful. Beautiful park. I don't know if you go to it often. I don't know what it looks like now, but yeah, we lived in Athens, Greece when I was a kid, and there was some traveling around other places in Europe when we lived over there. So I don't know if we already discussed this in the previous live stream, but would Ludwig come back composing Venom 2? He also composed Tenet. Did he really? That's a good question. I don't know. So composers are interesting because they're usually not picked. It comes down to availability, obviously, and also the directors. Like the directors will want to, who they want to work with, who do they think will add something to their vision. And so it comes down to Andy Serkis, I think, and whether he and Ludwig know each other or can work with each other, or Ludwig has an opening to do it. It'll come down to all that. But now they have more time to work on that, so we'll find out at some point. But yeah, I'd like to see Ludwig come back. He won an Academy Award, I think, for Black Panther. So he's good at his work, man. I like the guy. I hope he comes back. Yes, I know the Rage Nation. I remember watching Road to TF5. Yeah, there you go. Rage Nation's awesome. So I still watch his videos sometimes. I don't watch him as much as I used to. I think mostly I just watch Red Letter Media, and then sometimes I'll watch like Ryan Long is like a comedian, up-and-coming comedian that I started to recognize more and more. He makes a lot of videos where he makes fun of people arguing over politics and stuff. So he's kind of fun to watch. And then I like watching videos where it's like someone's like, oh, I've been listening to rap my whole life, and now I'm going to listen to Tool for the first time. And I'm like, oh, so I like seeing the reaction to music that I grew up loving, because I grew up listening to everything. I've listened to country, rock, hip hop, synth wave, like new wave, new age, like I said, country, techno, trip hop. Like I've listened to every style of music, and I like most styles of music. And so it's cool to see people like in their 20s, like discovering stuff they never knew existed. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. And it clearly works. It generates a lot of clicks for them, because I saw someone create a channel where they react to music, and then like 2 months later, they were already at like 6,000 subscribers. I'm like, dang, man, I'm making the wrong kind of videos. But at the same time, I can't really react to music because there's a lot I already know about music. So it'll be hard. Everything I listen to, I'd be like, yeah, I've heard this 1,000 times. So I discovered Rage Nation shortly after TF4 Super Bowl spot. Oh, you know him too. Awesome. It's great. So yeah, everything I try to do, it's pretty much like what I saw Alex do on Rage Nation. So I'm really just a copycat, actually. Thanks for answering. Hey, you're welcome. It's a good origin story. Hey, thanks. Well, sure. Thanks. Freddie, thoughts on the new Batman? Looks pretty good, I gotta say. I wasn't sold on it. Like when I saw some of the pictures, I'm like, hey, it looks okay. Yeah, fine. I mean, I have nothing against Robert Pattinson in general. I'm not one of those like, oh, he's a Twilight. I'm not one of those guys like that hates him for anything. I like him. I've seen him in a lot of movies, and he's a very, very good actor. Actually, my one regret of not seeing Tenet is the two main actors in it, him and the main guy in it. And now that I heard Marvin Brandau's in it, that kind of makes me want to see Tenet now, just because of the cast. So when I saw that trailer, I was like, wow, the mood of it is really nice. They put that Nirvana song in there, which I'm not even a big Nirvana fan, but I like that song in particular. I think that was a remix called the Devonshire remix. It looked good. Colin Farrell looks good as Penguin. They showed a quick clip of Catwoman, so that's neat that she's in it. They didn't show Falcone, but I'm excited to see Falcone played by John Turturro, speaking of the Transformer movies. I love him. He's a fantastic actor, and I actually like him in the Transformer movies as well. He's very over the top, but I'm like, he's in a Transformer movie. Like, why would he play it serious? So I like that. I like he's a good actor. So yeah, I'm excited. I want to see more of it, but obviously that's all we're gonna get for now. But I can't wait till we see more. I mean, it looks awesome. Vondel was Dutch writer back in the day. Oh, okay. So the park is named after someone. I was trying to think of that. I was like, is that based on someone or written or off of someone? So that makes sense. It's a writer. Nice. Dude, you gotta watch Tenet. The cinematography and soundtrack, especially in IMAX, is crazy. The thing is, too, is like a lot of I think one reason I struggle with Chris Nolan movies at the theaters is because of the sound. So I only hear it of one ear, and so it's overwhelming. It's like insanely overwhelming to hear some of the music and stuff in his movies, like the like sounds really invade, and I got to be careful with that. I remember I saw Tron Legacy, I think was the first 3D movie I saw in IMAX, and I had a full on seizure. Like it was too much. It was probably too early to see it. The second time I saw it in 2D, it was fine. Yeah, I got to be careful when it comes to stuff like that. Henry says, I got heavy into comics this past year, and I got to say, right now is an amazing time to be a comic fan. So many stories to choose from. It's funny, right? There is. Like during this pandemic, there's surprisingly a lot of good stuff coming out to an extent. But like for me, I find myself, because I don't have a ton of money for the newer stuff, I've been going back and reading old comics, and I'm having a blast doing it. It's been a lot of fun. But I'm glad you're liking a lot of the new stuff that's out right now. Hey, Ferris, have a good day. Thanks for popping in here. Red Letter Media is awesome. I love them. Yeah, reaction videos are fun. I make them from time to time. I just don't, I don't find them particularly, it's easy to do. It's easy to do. So sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'll make an easy video. I'll do a reaction. Like we did the DC fandom videos this week with Gene, and someone was like, why didn't you just react to all the trailers? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like I reacted to the Gotham Knights Batman game trailer because I'm excited for that. I want to play that game. So I was like, yeah, I got to react to this trailer. I don't want to watch it until I react to it. But the Batman, all that stuff, Wonder Woman, I just watch those on my own time, and I'm like, yeah, because I'm kind of like, to me, I'm like a weird. Maybe you guys would disagree. I feel like I'm kind of like a blend between the type of people that Mike and Jay and Rich on Red Letter Media make fun of, and them. Like I'm somewhere in the middle. So some days I'm so okay with being a total fanboy and being like, I'm gonna react to this, and then I get all excited. I'm like, yeah, and I turn into like a 16-year-old kid. And then there are days where I remember that I made videos like that and I make fun of myself and I go, you're so lame, So I think after I made the Gotham Knights video, I was like, you know what? That was all of your, energy, and being silly and being a fanboy. You got it out of your system. So just make videos where you talk about the rest and don't do reactions. So yeah, I kind of make fun of myself. Like I'm my own Red Letter Media and my own Collider. And I just I constantly make fun of myself when it comes to stuff. Oh, you're back already? Dang, man. Hello, welcome back. Excuse me. I normally don't drink on streams, but on live streams I do because it's a lot of talking. But if I make like a 10-minute or 20-minute video, I normally don't like drinking on camera. So if you ever see me cut, like if you see it cut, I either screwed up talking, which sometimes happens because sometimes I have a disconnect between my brain and my mouth. So if I talk and talk and talk and talk, I can do it for a long time, but then I'll just start saying sentences that don't make any sense. So sometimes when you see a jump cut in my videos, it's because I probably either just said a bunch of gibberish or I needed a drink. It's one of the two. We are Venom. Yes, what's up, Venom? Web of Shadows game out of context. Venom commits suicide. Okay, I guess so. Would you want to see metahumans like Croc or Clayface in the Matt Reeves universe down the road? Not at all. Here's the thing. If someone said, hey, it's never going to happen, but if someone's like, hey, Siike, make a Batman movie, it would be not realistic at all. The problem I have with Christopher Nolan and Matt Reeves is that they want to make realistic Batman movies. And when you do that, then you can't really do Man-Bat or Clayface or Killer Croc unless you do a very grounded version of them. And I don't want that. Like if I did a Batman movie, I would want to do Clayface. In fact, I wrote a Batman Beyond screenplay once and pitched it. And the opening was Batman fighting Clayface. And then his girlfriend was pregnant and Clayface dies in the beginning, and because he dies, Batman gives up. He was trying to save him, and he gives up being Batman. Then you cut to the future, and Terry McGinnis, he has to fight, what's her name, Ink, and you find out that Ink is the child of Clayface. It's not a great idea, I'll admit. I wrote it when I was like 23 or 4. So it's not a great idea. If I could go back, I'd probably change a lot of things, but I want Clayface in a movie so bad, and I want the giant, 10-foot tall Clayface. I don't want a version of Clayface where he's a regular dude and he can just change his face. I don't want that. I don't want that version. So I don't like realism when it comes to superhero movies. The realism in superhero movies should be the decisions they make. That way you can connect with the character. So it's like, oh, Captain America, he's unrealistic. In Marvel, very much treats him like he's unrealistic. He throws that shield around and there's they pay no attention to gravity or anything, but it doesn't matter because the decisions he's making to save his friend Bucky and to stand up against, the registration and stuff and Civil War, you understand the motivations he has. And so because of that, you get pulled into the character. And then you can make the rest fantastical. You can have him take down a jumbo jet or whatever, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't, So to me, I'm like, I like when my superhero movies are a little bit over the top, and there's a little bit of schlock in them. I'm kind of like Mike Stacklasa like that. Like I like a little bit of that. I don't like things to take themselves too seriously. So when you do, I think you restrict the kind of Batman stories you can tell by making a realistic Batman story, because then you're pretty much saying you can never really do. Because when they put Killer Croc in Suicide Squad, he looks stupid to me. I thought he just looked so stupid. I'm like, he's 6 foot tall. What a waste of Killer Croc, in my opinion. Heard about the Joker is going to be in the new Batman. We'll see. I hope not. It's okay to be silly. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely silly. I'm thinking about playing the Arkham games. Are they good? Oh, yeah, dude. You've never played them? I just finished Arkham Origins. I think that one's very underrated. I don't see a lot of people praising that one, and I think that's my second favorite Arkham game, actually. I just replayed it the other day, and the DLC. I beat it yesterday. So you'll see those videos probably going up on my YouTube channel, on my gaming channel soon. And my gaming channel link should be in the description box if you're not subscribed and you want to. I'm going to be throwing up some video game reviews starting next week. I recorded them already. God of War, I did a review for that. And Resident Evil 1 remake, Resident Evil 2 remake, and Resident Evil 3 remake. All of those are going to go up on my gaming channel, but I might also put them on this channel as a Seek and Destroy episode. So yeah, I'll be. But I give high praise to those games. If you've never played them, you should definitely check them out. Oh, during the game's ending, Georgie. Oh yeah, I don't remember how that game ends, but it's like a big dog with 3 heads, I think, symbiote. Thank you guys for the 13 thumbs up, by the way. Appreciate it. And we are trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're at 2,500 now. So if you know anyone who likes Venom or just likes, talking about random stuff, I do a Venom show on here as my main show, but I also cover some Transformer stuff. We're going to wrap up our Ghost Rider show, and we're going to start season 2 in late September, early October. We're going to start season 2 of Highway to Hell, and season 2 is going to focus on Spawn. So if you're a Spawn fan, we're going to talk about Spawn coming up soon. My favorite Batman film is still the first one by Burton. That's a darn good film. My favorite Batman film is probably Mask of the Phantasm, but that Burton one is really good. I'm a big fan of cartoons. I love cartoons. It's okay to have fun and cheesy comic book movies, though. We also need true, mature storytelling comic book movies. I mean, yeah, it's good to have a balance. Exactly. It's good to have a balance, but the problem is with Batman is everybody wants to do the grounded, gritty Batman. And I'm just like, well, I don't want something weird like Batman and Robin. Like, that's too far over the top. But I feel like there could be a middle ground between the two. That's all I'm saying. Hi there, Ilnova. How's it going? Nice. I finished God of War last week. That's a great game, actually. That was actually gifted to me by someone who worked on it. They were watching my stream one day. I was playing, I was playing some other game, and they were just like, hey, do you want to play the new God of War? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I worked on it. How about I send you a copy? And it was just the nicest thing ever. So I had a blast playing it. It took me like a year, though, before I finally played it. But once COVID started and I had no work, I just was like, oh, let's play God of War. And I played it straight for a week, and it was awesome. Such a great game. My review will be up probably next week for that. Origins isn't so great, but the Deathstroke fight is really cool. I disagree. Origins is a great story, in my opinion. Except for the towards the end, it falls apart a little bit when it's just like, oh, let's go back and get Joker back in. And I kind of wish when Joker got taken down halfway through the story, I wish that was it for Joker. But then they kind of brought him back at the end. I was kind of like, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. Although the church scene was kind of cool, but yeah, I'm not a big Joker fan. That's the thing. I think he gets overused a lot. I know why he's popular, but to me, I'm just like, yeah, a little less Joker. Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? Venom Vlog, where are you in America? I was living in Los Angeles, California, from 2007 to 2000 and until this year, till 2020. So I was out there for like 13 years, and I just moved here to Florida back in like April of this year. Hey, Ronan, what's up? We are Ronan Venom. How's it going? I played all the Batman games. They're good, aren't they? Yay, Spawn is good. I love Spawn. Mask of Phantasm is definitely great. I like Transformers, Spawn, Moon Knight, but the best is Venom. Then sweet, you came to the right channel. We talked about Moon Knight recently with he was on an episode of Maximum Venom. So we talked a little bit about that version of Moon Knight, and we also talked about him. We did an episode called Venom versus Moon Knight, where we talked about when Matt Gargan was Venom and he attacked him and the Thunderbolts attacked and tried to kill Moon Knight. So yeah, we talk about Moon Knight sometimes. I got some Morbius videos coming up soon too, because we're probably going to start seeing some more information about that probably closer to October. So I'll have some more Morbius stuff coming up on the Venom Vlog. How would you do Joker in this new trilogy? I personally want one closer to Hamill's from the Arkham games or the DCAU. I'm terrible. It's funny. I actually pitched, because when I worked in LA, I worked in comics and stuff, and I worked in movies for a while too. And I pitched a lot of stuff, and I actually pitched a Batman story, and it did not have Joker in it. I actually don't know what I would do with Joker. I don't. I think the only idea I had was, because I got a note like, oh, we want to maybe put a little bit more Joker in some of our stuff. Do you have anything to do with any ideas for the Joker? And my only idea was that I was going to make him like Hannibal Lecter. I kind of wrote Batman more detective-y. I kind of like that version of Batman, like the version of Batman that just beats people's heads in. I don't find very interesting. I like a guy who can take you down by knowing your pressure point. So if a mugger comes up, he just pokes them in the neck and then they just drop down unconscious. I like a Batman who is just quick to take you down. He doesn't waste time dancing and fighting. He just brings you down as quick as possible. So that's how I kind of think of Batman. And so I I focus more on the detective side of him, and I like doing the, oh, I got to find this, and and oh, there's a fingerprint here. I like writing that kind of stuff. I think it's interesting. And so I made Joker like Hannibal Lecter. So there would be times where Joker just willingly is like teases, he's in his cage at Arkham, and Batman, comes to like, when he drops off a criminal at Arkham, he might go over and see Joker, make sure he's still in his cell, and maybe have a conversation with him, kind of like Clarice does with Hannibal Lecter. So that was kind of the only idea I had for Joker. And they seemed to like it a little bit, but I never really got in at DC, really. I mean, I made friends there, but I never got into like write books over there, which is fine. I mean, I always wanted to. I love DC so much, but I'll be honest with you. I mean, a lot of the stuff I've written and stuff hasn't really sold that well, so it makes sense from a business standpoint that they wouldn't want to give me a shot at anything. It makes sense to me. So, because it's a business, and that's how I see things as a business. So, but that was my idea for Joker, was just like, he's like Hannibal Lecter. And then the thing I was going to do at the end of my run was, you think Joker's going to keep breaking out, because he always breaks out. And throughout my whole run, I had like an idea for like, I think like 18 issues. And he never once breaks out until the final issue. And I was just going to have the next writer be like, hey, now you can tell a Joker story, because I didn't for 18 issues. And fans probably want it. So he's out now, he's loose, go write a Joker story. So that was kind of my take on that. The Weirdos of San Francisco, Venom, Godzilla, Sonic, Bumblebee, Ant-Man. They should do a team-up movie with all those characters. That'd be awesome. If you had to pick a Joker Batman 2021, would it be Willem Dafoe, sorry I spelled it wrong, or Joaquin Phoenix? I got to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Joker, but that Joaquin Phoenix movie was awesome. That was a really good movie, I thought. Yes, it pulled from King of Comedy and all these other, Taxi Driver and other things like that, and pulled its look from older movies that I grew up with. But I didn't care. I thought it did it well. I thought it paid homage to those movies really well and constructed a really unique story for a character that I'm not a huge fan of. Although I do like Mark Hamill's Joker. I like the animated Joker, definitely. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would cast anyone else. I like Joaquin Phoenix. I thought he did a good job. Willem Dafoe is great though. He's got that big smile. I want the movie Marvel Legends Morbius and Venom. I don't think the Morbius is from the movie. I don't think so, actually. I think it's a comic book accurate Morbius. Although the movie does look a lot like the comic, so I guess it could pass either way. But Venom is definitely a movie, because he's in a different packaging. So that shows you that he's the movie version, because he has the movie logo on it. The Morbius toy, I don't think has the movie logo on it. I think it has the comic book logo on it. Joker's your favorite DC villain? I hear that a lot from people. My favorite DC villain is probably, it's tough, because I really like Sinestro, and I really like Black Adam. But I would argue that at times they feel more like anti-heroes. So I guess that would probably fall on Lex Luthor. I really like Lex Luthor. I think he's a great bad guy. I loved him on Smallville. I think Michael Rosenbaum is probably my favorite Lex Luthor of all time. Water, good. Yeah, I said I was going to come home and take a nap. I thought I wasn't going to leave for another hour, but then they were like, no, you're going to go home right now. I was like, oh, crap. I was like, so what am I going to do until like 1:30? I was going to, because I was going to take a nap at 1:30, but this has been nice actually talking to you guys. And thanks for letting me opening up about the suicide stuff at the front of this. And like I said, that offer is always on the table for anyone out there who feels like they're hurting. When I read that 1 in 4 young people between the ages of 18 and 24 were gave real thought to suicide in the past 30 days. It just made me realize how bad this country's doing and how nobody wants to seem to admit it, and how the leaders of our country don't want to address it head on because they think the economy's doing great. And it's like, you guys are delusional. Thank you. Wow, 16 thumbs up. Thank you guys. Dang, man. Thank you all. Thanks for the 9 people that are here. I love you guys. I love your vids. Why are people leaving? It happens. Sometimes people lose connection. It happens all the time. Sometimes people just have to go. Sometimes they're watching on a lunch break. So it totally happens. It's all good. I don't expect people to watch every minute of me just being silly, but it's nice to have you guys here. It really is. The new Legends Morbius is the Midnight Sun storyline version. Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, he looks great. The figure looks amazing. I showed him actually to my mom, and my mom got so excited. She was like, "Oh my God, it's Morbius!" I'm like, "How do you know who Morbius is?" She goes, are you kidding me? She's like, Morbius is awesome. And I was like, how the hell does my mom know who Morbius is? So I don't know, but she got all excited for Morbius. Wow, thank you, 18 thumbs up. Thank you guys. Joker's a wonderful film, interesting themes, great execution. Phoenix is phenomenal. That's the thing about that movie. The movie itself, it's one of those examples that where it's like the movie's okay, but his performance elevates the hell out of that movie. I felt that way a little bit with New Mutants. I felt like the story was just kind of meh, and the directing was meh, and the overall vision of it was meh. But I thought the actors really committed to their roles, and they helped elevate the material a little bit. And so I think that's why I didn't totally hate New Mutants, because I thought the actors, really cared about the roles. And that's saying a lot, because imagine like, I'm a comic book fan. So if someone was like, hey, write a story and put like, put like Rain Sinclair in it, I'd be like, well, I've read a couple of great Rain Sinclair stories in my life, but I don't know how much I would have her do in the story. And that's just because I'd have to do a lot of research in order to figure out a good story for her. But if I just had to do it quickly, I had to just put her in the story somehow. I don't feel like I would do her a lot of justice. And then you get an actress like Maisie Williams, who's like, oh, I'm going to play Rain Sinclair. And she really commits to the role. And I thought that was outstanding. Like it's like Tom Hardy committing to Venom. It's like, sometimes people get these roles and they're like, it's a dumb comic movie, whatever. Like, I need a paycheck. Let me just take the role. But he like really committed to playing Eddie Brock in Venom. And that's amazing. So it's great to see these actors, taking these characters that, especially in New Mutants, a bunch of like, C-list X-Men characters, and elevating them like that. Legion is a prime example. If you've never seen the show Legion, you got to watch it. The guy who plays David, the main character, Legion himself, he's phenomenal. Like he makes that show so good. Mr. Electrocutioner and Bane fighting would be cool. Electrocutioner is cool. Yeah, I love that fight where you just knock him out with one punch. It's so good. Yes, water. Oh my God. I don't drink a lot of it. I do now, because now that I work outside in the heat and stuff, I drink a lot more water now. The new Metents. Good one. Nice. Hardy was good in Venom. It troubled me his origin story was without Spider-Man. I think a lot of people were against that, but that was the one thing, that was the first thing I talked about on this show, or on Venom Vlog at least, was that we looked at Eddie Brock. We were like, what kind of character is Eddie, and can you tell his story without Spider-Man? And that was the first thing we explored, and we realized that you could, because the things that motivate Eddie don't need to come from Spider-Man. Eddie in the comic books was writing a story about the Sin Eater, and Spider-Man caught the real Sin Eater, and it exposed Eddie, and then it ruined his life, and so that made Eddie hate Peter. In this movie, Eddie's trying to report a story about the Life Foundation. They expose him in a different way. They get his life ruined. His girlfriend leaves him right before they get married, and he lives by himself. His career's down the toilet, and his life gets ruined, and it's by the Life Foundation. So to me, his motivation, he's still the same character. He just doesn't have a hatred for Spider-Man. He had hatred for actual bad guys. So to me, it didn't change his character that much. So once we dissected Eddie as a character and realized from the comics what was his real motivation, we saw that the movie did that part justice. They just didn't have Spider-Man in it. But don't worry, he'll meet Spider-Man at some point, and it's hopefully it'll be great. My big concern with Spunk, still need to get used to that, is the supposed timeline. The MCU, like say Venom takes place in 2018, while Morbius in 2024. So Eddie had Venom for like 8 years. Am I crazy? Does Morbius take place in 2024? I didn't know that they had revealed that. That's pretty neat. I wonder why that is, because that also means that the Vulture has been in jail for like 12 years, I guess, because I guess Vulture makes a cameo in Morbius. So that doesn't sound right to me, though. I feel like Morbius is going to take place right now. I wanted a Spectacular Spider-Man Venom toy on my 10th birthday and never got it. Oh man, I know what that's like. I know what that's like to want birthday gifts and never get them. Absolutely. I remember one year for my birthday, I wanted my rent paid. Not fully. I just needed help with my rent. And actually, no one did help me, but it was because I was able to sell something on eBay for like $300, like a bunch of toys, and that I was short rent, like I think like $180. So I was able to pay that and have a little bit of money left over for groceries. So yeah, I know what that's like sometimes. What do you think about Batman Assault on Arkham? Did you like it, or what would you rate it out of 10? Batman Assault on Arkham. That's the animated movie. It was okay. I didn't like that one as much as I liked the second Suicide Squad movie, which was called Hell to Pay. That one I really like. That one was awesome because that's the one where you have the male stripper, Dr. Fate. I thought that was so funny because Dr. Fate's such a grim and serious character. So for him to choose the host of a male stripper, I thought that was so awesome. I thought that was so funny. Um, it's a good analysis. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we try really hard to get to the root of the character Venom. And that's why the show's been so fun to make. Dang it, 19 thumbs up. Thank you guys. Hey, Andrew, what's up? How's it going? It's close enough. The spelling of my name, that's close enough. I'm doing well. How are you? What do you think about Bowser and Bowser Jr. in the Mario games? I don't know if I have an opinion about those. I will say this about Bowser Jr. Finding his action figure is really hard to do because I was looking for it for my nephew for his birthday. And luckily, my mom and my brother found one on eBay, and they just bought it on eBay, and he got it in time for his birthday. But I wanted to be the one to find it, and I couldn't find it. His figure is really hard to find. So that's my thoughts on Bowser and Bowser Jr. Far From Home is 2024, and Morbius is after Far From Home. Far From Home is not 2024. I'm starting to wonder about this too. Yeah, Far From Home is not set in the year 2024. It's not. It just isn't. It's set in the year 2018. So yeah, they could. Oh, I'm sorry, 2019. Sorry, 2019. They could make it in Carnage comic crossover. They could. That's true. In my theory, Venom takes place during the dark ages of Snap-apocalypse, though Eddie still doesn't believe that alien invasion. That's your theory? It could be. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing Venom takes place during the snap, but I guess they just don't address it. Who cares? My hope is that Peter from the MCU, now that his identity is revealed, he just jumps into the multiverse and he ends up in the Sony universe, and you bring his Aunt May and his other characters over, or he comes into this world with Aunt May and then he finds the real Mary Jane over here. Nothing against Zendaya, she does fine. She's a good version of that character, even though that's not the real MJ. It's not Mary Jane Watson. It's just like a girl named Michelle. But that's fine, but they had to do that because they didn't Marvel couldn't use the character Mary Jane because she's owned by Sony. So to me, I don't know. I would rather him just come into this universe and just be part of Venom now and not even be a part of the MCU. But I'm sure that's not what they want to do. I want to see a sequel to DC Gods and Monsters. Is that the animated movie where Batman's a vampire and he's played by the guy who does Dexter? The guy who played Dexter. That was a pretty good one, actually. I think I saw that at Comic-Con. Me and my friend Madison, we were at Comic-Con in San Diego, and it was the year where it was my last year signing there. So it was like 2015, maybe. It was my last year signing at Comic-Con. Oops, crushing my bottle. And so Madison was with me, and we went into this panel room because I was like, hey, I want to watch this DC animated movie, but it's not for like another 2 hours, but we got to get in there early because it gets filled up pretty quickly. So we got in line. We got in about an hour early. The panel before the DC animated movie was for iZombie. And because of that panel, we became big iZombie fans. I loved the cast. They were so awesome and nice and great on stage. And so I was like, I got to watch this show. And then I went home and watched iZombie and became a big iZombie fan. But after the iZombie panel was the DC Gods and Monsters panel. And so the cast came out, they talked real quick, and then they showed the movie. And it blew me away. I was like, wow, that was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Venom's paint drawing is in Morbius. Is Venom going to be in a 24-year? I don't believe you with the years. I just don't think those. I don't know where you got 2024 from for these movies, but that's not the case at all. I promise you. Peter jumps through Venomverse. Boom. Problem solved. That's it. I call it the Venomverse because Venom started this universe. Sony wanted to make a big shared universe, but then they got really quiet before Venom came out because they were like, this has to be a hit or else we don't get to make other movies. And Venom was such a major hit for them that they were like, Morbius, Black Cat, Silver Sable, even though that kind of fell apart. But they were instantly like, let's get more movies out there. I think now they're talking about they have a director for Kraven the Hunter. I'm like, whatever, man, more movies. If Kraven and Venom fight in a movie, I'll be so happy. Venom almost killed Superman in DC and Marvel comic book. I know, we talked about it. We reviewed that on the channel. There was a Marvel DC crossover, and Venom beat the crap out of Superman. It was the one where Superman was the son of General Zod and raised by migrant workers. The short character, yes, that's right. Yep, that's a good movie. There was the 5-year gap between Infinity War and Endgame. Yes. Yeah, there was a 5-year gap there, but that would mean, so when did Infinity War come out? 2018? But does it take place in 2018? I don't remember. So they disappear. So you had 5 years. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Oh, you're saying, oh, I see what you're saying. You're using real time. I gotcha. I just assume that that I know they kind of follow a timeline, but I never looked at it that closely. I don't think that's true. Like, I don't think Spider-Man Far From Home literally takes place 5 years after 2018, just because that's when, Infinity War came out. Because Endgame came out, in 2019, and that's when Far From Home came out. So I just assumed those movies take place in 2019 after the 5-year jump, which would make, if you want to follow it that way, 2013 or 14 is the year when the snap happened. But again, I don't think it's meant to really be looked at that way, to be honest with you. I frankly want Eddie and Venom to be their own verse at MCU Peter visits. That's good. I would like that too. They bargain and kind of want Venom Universe to have Andrew Garfield as having been Spider-Man in the verse. The problem with that is that then people are going to be mad if there's already a Spider-Man in the Venom Universe, because then they're going to be like, well, why didn't you have Venom's origin tied to Spider-Man? So you really can't do that. You have to have Venom be first in his universe. He's like the Iron Man of his universe. So you have to treat him that way, in my opinion. You can't have it to where, oh, these other heroes existed. There's been other heroes around. You can't really do that. It's gotta start now. Venomverse has to be made into a movie instead of an animated dumb Spider-Verse. I don't know. Maybe we'll see some surprises in Spider-Verse too. You never know. But the big turning point is Annie never left Eddie and convinced him to go back to San Francisco. That is how I would do it. That's a good way to do it. That's true. I'll give Sony this. They might suck at year time jumps, but they weren't as outraging as Fan4Stick's 1 year time jump. I didn't see that movie. I actually refused to watch Fan4Stick. Spider-Verse was great. I love Spider-Verse. Fan4Stick I never watched. I actually don't want to. I'm scared because I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan. I mean, I got the figures up there, but I have all the comics. Like, I have a lot of the Stan Lee. The entire run by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, which is like 103 or 4 issues. I have them all. Like, some of them are beat to hell and missing. One of them is missing a cover, and some of them have like pen marks all over them, so they're really bad condition. But I have them, and I grew up reading those, and I grew up reading about the Fantastic Four, Galactus, Silver Surfer, Black Panther, all these fantastic characters, the Inhumans. That was my first introduction to Inhumans. I grew up loving Jack Kirby. I love those comics. So I'm such a Fantastic Four fan that when I saw that trailer for that new one, or that last one, I was like, F this. I was like, I'm never going to pay to see that movie. And I still haven't seen it to this day. I'm rereading Marvel Secret Wars, the 84 version this week. It's still a lot of fun. And first time we meet the symbiote. That's right. So that's what I'm saying is, like, it's hard to do Venom's origin unless they did it in the MCU, but they would have to do the Secret Wars story, which they were not building up to Secret Wars. They were building up Thanos. So it's really hard to be accurate to Venom's origin. So you can sit there and be mad that Spider-Man wasn't used, but then you got to also be mad that all the superheroes weren't in it either, because technically that's where the costume comes from. I think a lot of people liked the version from the cartoon of Spider-Man where it didn't have the other heroes. And it was just Spider-Man, getting the suit from John Jameson going to space. And that's pretty much what they do in the Venom movie, just without Spider-Man. So I think they did the best they could, and I think they, it probably wasn't an easy thing to do, but I think they did good. Frankly, I'm fine with a spiderless intro. Since there seems to be a lot of for want of a nail type situation. What are you saying? Show how things could have been a hero. I have no idea what that sentence means. I'm sorry. I seems to be a lot of for want of a nail type situation. I don't get it. But you're fine with a spiderless intro. Okay, good. That's all I got from that. I have seen Fantastic, and all I can say is don't. Yeah, I'm never going to watch that movie. What if Joker kills the Batman? He does. If you read Batman Damned, spoiler alert, I guessed it in the first issue. I was like, oh, Batman's dead. And I did a review of it, and people were like, no, he isn't. He's clearly alive at the end. I'm like, no, he's not. And then the third issue comes out, and he's dead. And I'm like, yeah, see, he's dead. The only way to watch Fantastic is watching CinemaSins video from it. I don't even want to watch that. I don't even think I think I might have watched the Red Letter Media review of it, but only one time. Like I don't really care to even hear anyone talk about that movie. That's how little I've paid attention to it. Smart to not watch it. Fantastic is terrible, terrible movie. It looks bad to me. I know Josh Trank probably gets a lot of stuff. I have nothing personal against that guy. I know he just did a movie recently with Tom Hardy that also got ripped apart in the reviews. So, the guy doesn't deserve to be like hated or anything, but I just doing a version of Fantastic Four where it's like The Fly and it's like, oh, we're going to just, we're going to create a thing that goes in other dimensions and we're going to use it and get powers or whatever. It's like, it's just dumb to me. It just sounds dumb. The Joker would never kill Batman. He needs Batman. Otherwise, he has no point. I don't know. Because Joker has certainly tried to kill Batman. There's been times in the comics where he's gotten to that boiling point where he's just like, you know what, I'm tired of this dance because you're never gonna really give me what I want. Like what Joker really wants from Batman. Like Joker loves the back and forth with him, and he thinks that's fun. But there are times where Joker really wants more out of that relationship sometimes, and Batman is never gonna give it to him. And there's been some stories where he's addressed that and actually tried to kill Batman. So I don't know. I feel like he has it in him to kill Batman. Crash Test, Doomy's motivation was to destroy Fox's boring universe of Marvel characters that existed for 100 minutes. I love Dr. Doom. He's my favorite comic book villain of all time. Out of both universes, I don't care. He's the best one. And I have yet to see a movie version of him that I liked. And granted, I haven't seen that movie, but I doubt I'm going to like him in it for sure. Bless. Sorry, I'm on a tablet. Hey, that's okay. No problem. I don't blame Trank for Fantastic Four stick. He had a lot of ideas that Fox wouldn't let him do, a lot of studio meddling. But here's the thing, is like, I don't blame the studio for that either. Like, people have to realize, of course, a studio is going to meddle in your movie, especially when you're making a Fantastic Four movie or a comic book movie or whatever, or a big franchise movie. Of course that's going to happen. So you have to be ready. You have to be good at negotiating, at compromise. You have to be like, okay, you want this, but I want this. Let's find a middle ground. You got to be good at that stuff because that's the business side of it. If you're all creative and no business, then in my opinion, you're just gonna be a whiny bitch when you make movies because you're just gonna whine that all these studios keep screwing you. And it's like, it's their money on the line. It's not your money. Like Josh Trank didn't pay $150 million to make Fantastic Four. The studio did, and they had to go out and get investors who want their money back. So they go to someone and someone goes, hey, here's $50 million because we believe in you that Fantastic Four will make us some money and we can make merchandise and products off it. So we feel confident that we'll get our $50 million back. And if we don't, basically that prevents us from maybe ever doing a deal again. And so studios need movies to do well. So yeah, sometimes they panic. And the problem with studio meddling is that most of those people aren't creative. They're just business. So you need people in the business side that have a little bit of creativity, and you need some of those creative people to have a little bit of business sense. And if you did that, I think more good movies would come out, more consistent movies would come out. But everybody likes to pick their side and just be all in on the finances or all in on the creativity, and they just fight. And then movies come out shitty. And that's my honest opinion about those. So I do blame Trank, actually, and I blame the studio to an extent too, but it's their job to make sure everyone makes their money back. And because they're not creative, they're going to throw ideas out there. So it's Josh Trank's role to take their bad ideas and go, all right, well, those aren't going to really work, but here's how I can work with you on developing them or doing kind of what you want, but maybe a little bit of what I want. And you have to it's an ebb and flow, man. It's a relationship. And so when you just put up a wall in your relationship, it's not going to go anywhere, and you're going to put out a crappy product relationship wise. So to me, it's just, I don't know, a bunch of pampered babies make movies now, and then they complain like, the studio changed my movie. It's like, of course they are. If you're not spending $400 million to make your movie, they are. So of course they're going to have a say in it. So you got to be ready for that. You got to be prepared. And it's not going to be easy for sure. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but I'm just saying when you see a good movie, like a really good movie, like then everything that could have gone right went right. That the director compromised, the writer compromised, the producers compromised, the studio compromised. Everybody compromised somewhere to meet a middle ground, and that helped the movie, most likely. I want 90s Spider-Man cartoon Eddie Brock to have a Venom-centric cartoon exploring him getting spat out into somewhere else, follow how that Eddie evolves from that point. Didn't they do that with Spider-Man Unlimited? And that was a terrible show. But maybe a better version of that is what you're saying? That could be good. Speaking of Batman, what did you think of Gotham and that version? I didn't watch Gotham. I watched the first season and I didn't like it. Everyone tells me it gets better, but of course it gets better because season 1 was, in my opinion, very bad. Same with Titans. Like everyone's like, oh, it gets better. And I'm like, of course it does. Season 1 sucks. So, but I don't care about a little kid Bruce Wayne, like, or a teenager Bruce Wayne. That's not the story of Batman I want to read. And I don't want to read a Batman where his villains pop up in Gotham before he's Batman. Like, I like the escalation of Batman. I like that it's regular crime bosses, and then Batman comes along, takes all of them down, and because they get taken down, people like the Joker and Riddler and stuff start popping up. It's escalation. I like that because it feels realistic in a sense. But it feels natural, I feel like. Realistic is probably the wrong word. Natural. It feels natural. I hate the Joker in Suicide Squad. If Heath Ledger was in the movie, he would do a great job. Well, I mean, yeah, but he can't be in the movie, unfortunately. But he was awesome as Joker. Am I the only person that likes Suicide Squad? You might be, Andrew. You don't like Birds of Prey, though. Yeah, I don't like Suicide Squad. In fact, I see people saying, oh, I want an A-year cut. I'm like, I don't want an A-year cut. I'm not a big fan of Zack Snyder's DC movies, but I like Zack enough to be interested in watching a Snyder cut of Justice League, for sure. I respect the guy. But David Ayer, I don't actually have a ton of respect for. And I don't think he's made a lot of good movies. I know people will praise a lot of his movies, but I've seen a lot of his movies and I'm just like, eh. Like, and I know the guy's like, he's tough and he used to be like a cop or in a crime group. I don't know, whatever his backstory is. And that's great. I have nothing personal, I guess, against the guy, although it seems like I might, but I'm not a fan of his work, like, basically. So I don't want to see an A-year cut of Suicide Squad because I don't think it's going to be better or worse. I think it's just going to be the same level of crap, in my opinion. But if you liked it, that's great. Like I always say on every episode, like if I give my review, it's not to put anyone down who has the opposite opinion. Like, I like that people have other opinions. I like that they're fans of Suicide Squad. Hopefully that got you to go check out more Suicide Squad stuff. Hopefully it got you to read some of the comics, watch some of the cartoon movies and stuff. Like, hopefully that it worked out that way for you. I'm going to lose it if they defend Fantastic Four from the yet-to-be-released F4 for the sake of BS drama and whatnot, like how they defend Andrew Spider-Man from... yeah. Whatever. Yeah, probably. I mean, I try not to get into that stuff. Like, who's better? Which Spider-Man's better? I'm like, who cares? Like whatever version you want. That's okay. You stopped watching Titans? Yeah, I didn't like the first season either. I ended up watching the second season because my friend Gene conned me. He said he's like, dude, it's so much better. And then I watched it. I'm like, it's better, but it's not so much better. So I probably won't watch season 3, which is crazy because they're bringing Barbara Gordon in season 3 and Red Hood. And I'm like, I don't care. Everyone's like, oh, I love Titans because it's like I finally get a live action Nightwing. And I'm like, that's what the show should have been. They do such a terrible job writing a lot of the other characters. And it's clear they just want to do a Batman family show because now they're bringing in Red Hood and Barbara Gordon. I'm like, just why are you doing Titans? Why wasn't this show called Nightwing? And then season 1 could have just been about him becoming Nightwing. And you could have saved a lot of money on visual effects with like Raven and all these other characters that have superpowers. And you could have just made a crime show about Nightwing. Like, to me, that was so dumb. What a wasted opportunity. Because the guy who plays what Nightwing in the show is good. He's actually my favorite part of the show. I forgot Spider-Man Unlimited existed. I would have to go back. I would like to go back to forgetting it existed. Okay, no problem. We'll just retcon what I just said then. I like Andrew Garfield's take on Spider-Man, though. Sony messed it up by vomiting lots of plots and setups for sequels. Definitely. That movie is prime example. Mark Webb, I think, is a terrible filmmaker because that was clearly Sony going, do this in the movie, do this in the movie, do this in the movie. And then he's just like, he just said yes to everything. And that's, I mean, he may not have, but it seemed like he did because he just seemed like this really laid back, like, hey, cool, man, this movie is going to be fun to make. And you're just like, no. Sam Raimi, I know, had that problem, but he did try to fight the studio a little bit. He's like, I don't really want this. And they basically, like, hey, you have a contract. They got nasty with him. So sometimes that happens too when you're dealing with franchises. People get nasty with you because you try to stand up for the integrity of the movie and you try to do something and they, jump all over you. Imagine Spider-Man 3 with no Venom. It'd be hard because I think a lot of people associate that movie and they think they're like, oh, Venom, But if that movie was just Sandman and New Goblin, whatever he was called, I think that movie would have been 10 times better. I have heard enough of Snyder's initial intent for Justice League to not have excitement. Yeah, I'm not excited for the movie. I'm excited for the fans, though, that wanted it. Because I've never seen a fandom so passionate about anything. That what they did, raising money for suicide prevention and everything, like, that's pretty spectacular what that fandom has done. Of course, they have some crappy people in their fandom, and there's some internal fighting in their fandom, which is dumb. I hate when fandoms get like that, but it happens in a lot of them. Because, like I said, people don't respect each other and they just get nasty with each other and degrade each other. But I'm happy for them that they're going to get their movie. But for me, I'm not excited for it, but I will probably watch it. I'll probably get HBO Max when it comes out and I'll watch it. Just out of curiosity. Deathstroke was wasted at the end of Titans. I didn't even know. Oh, yeah, that's right. Did he pop up? I can't remember. That's how much I shut that show out of my head. If it had been bluntly Nightwing focused, that would have been good. I think it should have been, because it's clear that's the story they want to tell. Like season 2, they were like, let's go to Nightwing's safe house, and like Nightwing goes and meets his friend, the Hawk and Dove, and so you could still have a Hawk and Dove cameo, and it's like Nightwing wants to go meet his friend Donna Troy, and so you could have still had some cameos in it, and you could have had it to where season 3 is him building the Titans team. You could even had that, but to me, they should have just made a Nightwing show. Sony, do you want to set up a lot of sequels and spin-offs in 2 hours? Mark Webb, yes, please. It's pretty much, I feel like that's how that meeting went. He probably went, do I get a check? And they were like, yes. And he goes, oh, then yes, I'll do whatever you want. If they cut out New Goblin and Venom or New Goblin and Sandman, I would have been a fun time. Sandman, I feel like, was essential to that story because you got to look at it as a trilogy. Sam Raimi's like me. We're old school. We think about trilogies in a different way than modern people do. I think Peter Jackson's like this too because he made the Lord of the Rings trilogies. There are unspoken rules when you structure trilogies and stories. So you want like a certain thing to happen in the first movie. It's the setup. It's the introduction of the characters. But there's got to be it's got to stand on its own. When it succeeds, you make your second one. And your second one needs to go, okay, well, this is the safety net the character ends the movie on in the first movie. Now that safety net has to be removed. So in the second movie, Spider-Man starts to lose his powers. He got the girl, or he walked away from the girl, but that leads to a lot of problems. And they realize they really do love each other, and they go through that in the second movie. And it kind of and then it's him with a mentor that he actually respects a lot. And that mentor going to the dark side. So it challenges Peter based off the safety that he was in at the end of the first movie after he saved the day. The third movie then has to tie back to the first movie. So having New Goblin be a villain that ties back to the first movie, that makes sense because it's closure. Because obviously in the second movie they had a lot of Harry Osborn hating Spider-Man, and you want that closure there to wrap back to the first movie. But then they also introduced the idea that Sandman was somehow responsible for Uncle Ben's death, which I kind of liked, even though it's not comic accurate, because the theme of Spider-Man 3 is forgiveness. So Spider-Man has to cross a line, which they used the black costume for. So you can tell Sam Raimi tried to squeeze Venom in and make it make sense. but it just didn't overall help the pacing of the movie is the main issue. And he couldn't really do Venom justice. Venom just literally shows up by crash landing in Central Park right next to Spider-Man conveniently. So they couldn't even do a proper setup for the character. But yeah, so the theme was forgiveness. So you needed Peter to then do something negative in the movie that he needed to get forgiven for at the end. And by doing that is why he forgives Sandman for the crime he committed. And he chooses the better path, the one that maybe people won't agree with, but it's the path maybe Uncle Ben would have wanted him to take on some level. And so I liked those elements. But if you would have had just Venom in it, it would have just been a different movie and it wouldn't felt like a proper trilogy movie. Hey, dude, I got to go, but this live stream was real fun. Hey, I'm glad you had a good time, Amsterdam Comic Geek. Thanks for being here. Thank you guys for 19 thumbs up. We're going to probably wrap this up in the next 5 minutes or so. But I want to thank you all for popping in and out of here and keeping me company today. And I'm going to go take a nap after this, and then I'm going to live stream a video game at 5:30 on my gaming channel. If you guys want to come hang out with me more around then. And then tonight I'll try to get an episode of something recorded and uploaded to YouTube. If I can't get it up tonight, I'll upload it tonight. I'll get it uploaded tomorrow morning for you when I go to work. Sony, do you want MJ to die from Peter's radioactive? So Mark Webb, yes, but actually, hell no, I'm out. Bye. Yeah, that's from what, Spider-Man Reign? We haven't talked about that yet, but we will on the show at some point. Okay, made a good point. New Goblin, Sandman, and at the very end, leave a dangling idea of Meteor. Yeah, they could have teased Venom for the fourth movie. I agree. That would have been much better. Spider-Man 3 would have been a good two-parter. Well, it was supposed to be. In another reality, yeah, sniff, sniff. In another reality, it is. Unfortunately, we live in the dark timeline now. We are not in the good reality anymore. But yeah, I was working at Sony at that time, 2007. Right after Spider-Man 3 came out, there was all these talks about the fourth one and that they might pick up some of the plot threads that Sam wanted to do for the original two-part movie and do Vulture and Lizard and stuff. And so me and my friends wrote a script. We were working at Sony, and we wrote a Spider-Man 4 script that had the Lizard in it and Kraven the Hunter. And it took place at Christmas time. We wanted to make a Christmas movie. So it takes place during Christmas time in New York. And Kraven's running around with no shirt on, and he's barefoot, and he's hunting Spider-Man. And then I have a whole episode. If you want to go watch it, there's an episode of Venom vlog. I want to say it's either episode 100, 150, or 200. I think it's one of those, where we talk about my script for me and my two friends wrote, and we pitched it, but it didn't go anywhere. And at that point, they decided to not do Spider-Man 4 with Sam Raimi anymore. So yeah. But yeah, we wrote a Spider-Man 4 script, and it was cool because I got to put one of my favorite Spider-Man characters in it, Hobie Brown. We gave Gwen Stacy a little bit more to do in the script. We made Mary Jane a more, I think, coherent character. I feel like if you look at her in those three movies, she's just kind of like the damsel in the first movie. In the second movie, she's like very dramatic and like she doesn't know what she wants. And then in the third movie, she's kind of like really dedicated to Peter, and then it blows up in her face and stuff. So we had it to where she and Peter are just friends in the fourth movie, but they're trying to work their way back to their relationship. And we had Gwen be supportive of it instead of being like a love triangle. We just were like, let's have Gwen kind of be more supportive of their relationship. And also we noticed that Gwen's relationship with Peter wasn't really the best after Spider-Man 3. So we wanted to bridge that. So he tries to help her out in science class with Dr. Connors. He helps her out, and then I think both of them are in competition to become Dr. Connors' lab assistant. It's like them two and Hobie Brown. So that was like a little subplot we put in there. Eventually, Peter was going to get it, but then he doesn't. And then Gwen doesn't turn it down. I can't remember what we did with her, because that was we all took parts of the script and wrote it and then exchanged parts and tweaked them. So that wasn't one of my scenes that I wrote, but I think Hobie Brown ended up winning the job. But we were setting up Hobie Brown as we mentioned in one scene that there was like a cat burgling going on in the neighborhood, and that was our nod that Hobie Brown is already the Prowler, and he's out at night doing things. But I think they thought we were thinking of Black Cat, and we were like, oh yeah, well, we're not thinking of Black Cat. We were setting that up for Hobie Brown. So yeah, we kind of missed the mark on that setup a little bit. I like your stream. Stay awesome. Hey, I will do my best. Your script sounds fun. It was a fun script to write. I gotta say, I'm very critical of my own writing. A lot of times I go back and look at my stuff and I go, oh, this sucks so bad. But I thought that was a really good script for us. Kind of just taking a shot in the dark. I thought we did a really good job on it. In my short Spider-Man universe, there would be 4 movies: Spider-Man alien costume, solo Venom movie, different villain, no raisin Venom, a Spider-Man sequel with a man spider story, and Maximum Carnage film. That's pretty good. Yeah, I feel like the Spider-Man movies in the Marvel universe. What I like about the Marvel universe, even though it's not every movie is good in my opinion in the Marvel universe, but what I like is that you can really bring in any villain from the comics of the Marvel universe, and they do a fair they don't do a great job making them good villains. I won't say that, but what I'm saying is like you can bring in like a nihilist. There's no one's off limits except for the characters they don't own the rights to. When you make a grounded Batman movie, like I said, off limits are characters like Man Bat and then Clayface and Killer Croc and things like that, or Roxy Rocket even is probably a little out there, even though she's just a normal person who rides around on a rocket, but still it'd probably be too much. Copperhead, maybe he or she, whichever version you go for, could be too much. Even Mr. Freeze is borderline, like how do you do that? You could kind of do that realistically and kind of not. So it just, to me, it limits your rogues gallery, with Batman. Because then it's like, oh, we can do, like, that was Christopher Nolan. It was like, oh, let's do Bane. And although I love Tom Hardy and that version of Bane was neat, it would have been cool to see a Bane that could actually grow, 8 feet tall or something and actually like pick Batman up and break him. And although Bane kind of does that in the movie, the way they had to shoot it is clearly trickery to make Bane look bigger than he really is and stuff. And it's just like, I don't know. I like that movie for what it is and the interpretation that it is. But for me, I'm like, again, when you limit your characters, like, but that also follows a trilogy rule. Nolan, he ties Bane and Talia back to Ra's al Ghul. So that kind of follows. I actually like Dark Knight Rises. I think that's my favorite one out of those 3 movies, actually. Kind of like how the MonsterVerse movies are. Yeah, with good mature storytelling. See, the thing is, I don't buy into the good mature storytelling because, like, just by saying, oh, this is mature, it doesn't make it good. It doesn't even make it mature just by saying that. So to me, like, I don't know. I like bringing in new audiences. If you make something too dark and so you have to think too much about it, you start limiting your audience. And that's fine if you're making an indie film that doesn't cost more than like $10 million to make. But if you're making a Batman movie or a Superman movie and stuff like that, I'm not saying make it dumb. I'm just saying you don't have to overthink it. All the elements are there. These characters have been around 70, 80 years. Like it's the hard work is done for you. Now you just got to pick a version and kind of make it consistent. And so to me, I don't buy into the like it's got to be dark and gritty and mature and realistic. I like things for everybody. Like, and granted, you're not always going to win with that. Like, because there's going to be people everywhere arguing and fighting over stuff. But I would like it. Like when I was a kid, I liked being able to go see the Christopher Reeves movies. They weren't too dark for someone like me. Seeing Superman fly around was cool. Even the Burton movies I saw as a kid, and they were neat. You got to see Batman fight and punch a couple people, and you're like, hey, those are cool. But as a kid, those are the only scenes I liked. I didn't really care about some of the other scenes. So that's what I'm saying is like you want something there so new audiences can come in and become fans of this stuff. So you don't want to make it too hardcore or mature because then it limits some of 10 to 13-year-olds coming in to watch the movie. And then you don't want to make it too much for them either, because then the adults who will go pay to see it multiple times also won't go to see it multiple times. So you kind of need to find a balance. And I will admit it's not easy at all. It's not easy. Yeah, balance of fun and good storytelling like Raimi movies. I think those are good. I like the Raimi stuff. Like you said, they're a good balance. Like Spider-Man 2 especially. I think there's enough cool Spider-Man stuff in there for kids to enjoy. And then I think there's a really great story about brilliant but lazy. I think that's such a great theme in a way for those characters and how Octavius perceived Peter as this kid who just never showed up to class, but really Peter was out there saving people. So yeah, and also Big Wheel. I want to see Big Wheel in a Spider-Man movie. I want to see a scene, the opening of the movie, Big Wheel tearing ass down the street and running over cars, and Spider-Man has to go and stop him. And then Spider-Man make a joke like, "Where do you park this thing? Like, how come I'm just now hearing about you? Like, you know, or something like that. You know, because it's like me and my friend Gene were wondering that the other day. We were like, where does Big Wheel build his wheels, and then where does he drive them from? Because you could follow the tracks all the way back to the origin, and maybe you'd probably find some like warehouse in upstate New York, and he just drives down, and no one can stop him until he gets to an area with superheroes. But yeah, I want to see it. I don't want to see him. I like all those big characters. I like larger than life characters when I think of comic book movies. But like I said, the realistic things need to be the decisions they make. If they make realistic decisions and their motivations make sense and you understand the characters, then I think you'll look past some of the schlock and the over the topness and you'll embrace the world. That's the suspension of disbelief part, right? I think, you know, but that's the saying is you know, I don't want a gritty, you know, Fantastic Four like the version they did, even though they went to another universe. But to me, I'm like, well, if they're going to go to another universe, the Negative Zone or whatever, they should have brought in a Nihilist. A Nihilist should have been the villain of that movie. And then that way you could have had them fight this, you know, giant creature with wings at the end of the movie. It would have been cooler. You could have saved Doctor Doom for something else. Fine, during my first Never Gonna Happen Spider-Man film. Hey, no. I like your Spider-Man movies sound good. I like your quadrilogy you have. Big Wheel must have a cinematic appearance. He's got it, man. I think Sony owns him, so maybe we'll see that at some point. But man, I would love to see just the first 2 minutes of a Spider-Man movie or 4 minutes, just boom, Big Wheel. That would be great. All right. Yes. Big Wheel indeed. Anyway, I'm going to go, guys. Thank you guys so much for everything and for, you know, going through this video with me, listening to me open up about at the beginning about the suicide stuff and everything. And like I said, if you're out there, if you're watching this later and you want someone to talk to you about that stuff and you don't feel, you know, good opening up to a stranger or opening up to me or someone else in your life, check out the description box. You know, check out those links to get help if you need help, if you just need someone to talk to. Mainly, that's just what it is. You just need someone to talk to and someone to listen. I think that's what mainly it is. You need a good listener. So find one and ask them for help and ask them to listen. And check out that CNN article. Like I said, it broke my heart to read that. And that was the impetus for me doing this video right now. So I appreciate it. We haven't done a Venom vlog live in a while, so I'm glad we got to do it and talk about a serious subject, but also then follow it with having some fun. So it was really great to hang out with you guys. Josh G, Georgie, Jazz Carnage, everyone that popped in, our Amsterdam Comic Geek, like all of you. Thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot. Okay, bye. Be safe. We're in the third act of 2020. Yes, we're getting there, right? It's the final act. Let's hope it's not as bad as the first two have been. I love Annihilus too, but he should be used more often. I agree. I like that character. But you guys have a good day. I'll be on later streaming video game on my gaming channel at 5:30. We'll be playing Monster Hunter with my friend Lonely Symbiote. And then I'll try to get a video up tonight. If not tonight, though, tomorrow morning for sure. Thank you all so much. See you in the future. Peace.